Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Archana Solanki. Here are the headlines we're tracking this evening. A rebound on Friday helped Sensex and Nifty end the week with 1% gains. Mid-cap index gains 2% this week. Adani Group stocks continue to regain lost ground after the bribery allegations. Indian government breaks silence on the Adani controversy 10 days after the US bribery indictment. Foreign Affairs Ministry spokesperson says the matter is between private firms, individuals and the US Justice Department. Adds Indian government was not informed in advance and has not had any conversation with the US in the matter. Zee Enterprises shares rise a day after shareholders reject proposal to reappoint Puneet Goenka as a board director. Retail investors vote overwhelmingly against a board seat for him. There's no imminent threat to Goenka's position as the CEO as long as he has the backing of the board. Supreme Court throws a spanner in the works for Byju's fundraise via stake sale in Aakash Educational Services. The top court restrains Aakash from removing veto rights of minority shareholders. Opposing deal directs Aakash to seek relief in NCLT.
It's just malicious and it's frustrating, but thankfully now we seem to be through it.
Air India CEO Campbell Wilson says airlines take every threat seriously, even as he calls bomb hoaxes malicious and frustrating. Calls for faster and consistent assessment of bomb hoaxes to avoid disruption. That's an exclusive. Government Serious Frauds Investigation Office begins probe against Hero Electric and Okinawa for alleged violation of EV subsidy norms. The Heavy Industries Ministry had approached the Corporate Affairs Ministry seeking a detailed probe. Israel and Hezbollah continue to accuse each other of violating the ceasefire in Lebanon as the fragile truce enters a third day. Israel continues to attack Gaza, killing at least 42 people in the last 24 hours. The winter session of Parliament remains paralysed for the fifth straight day. Opposition demands a discussion of the Adani controversy, Manipur violence, among other issues. No clarity on the next Maharashtra Chief Minister yet. This despite Eknath Shinde hinting at accepting a BJP Chief Minister. Shinde, Fadnavis and Ajit Pawar meet Home Minister Amit Shah in Delhi to discuss portfolio allocation. Sources say that the Shiv Sena is keen on the Home Affairs Ministry, but the BJP is unwilling to relent. Australia passes a legislation to ban social media for children under 16 years of age, becoming the first country to do so. Facebook's parent company Meta accuses Australia of failing young people by not considering their voices. The government says the Indian cricket team will not be travelling to Pakistan for the Champions Trophy in 2025 due to security concerns. India's cricket board had earlier informed the ICC about the same. Right, straight to the news just coming in. The Indian government has broken its silence on the Adani controversy 10 days after the US bribery indictment. The Foreign Affairs Ministry spokesperson Ranveer Jaiswal has said that the matter is between private firms, individuals and the US Justice Department. He added that no extradition request has been received from the United States. He also said that Indian government was not informed in advance and has had no conversation with the US on this matter.
Austin. We see this as a legal matter involving private firms and individuals and the US Department of Justice. Obviously, there are established procedures and legal avenues in such cases which we believe will follow, would be followed. And the Government of India, so far, we have not, to answer your question, we have not been informed in advance on the issue. We haven't had any conversation also on this particular matter with the US government. Also, related question came from Sudhi. So, I would like to inform you that, any request by a foreign government for service of summons or arrest warrant is part of mutual legal assistance. But such requests are examined on merits. We have not received any request on this case from the US side.
All right, let's take a look at the market action. A Friday rally helped Sensex and Nifty end the week with 1% gains. Nifty got back above the 24,100 mark. Sensex has moved closer to 80,000. Mid-caps outperformed the blue chips. Prashant Nair is here with the market trap.
What are you all A much better session after yesterday's smacking. And yesterday was perplexing. There was a almost $2 billion net sale number. People were worried. The view was that do not extrapolate what had happened yesterday to future sessions. And there was a bit of a recovery which was expected. And that recovery did materialize at open. It strengthened through the course of the day. At one point, we were nearing Nifty being up 300 points, although there was a bit of a give back towards the end. But 200 plus points is what we had coming through on the Nifty benchmark. Bank Nifty, a little more mixed, little more sort of unsure. Mid-cap index, flattish but higher. Small-cap index was the clear winner with about 0.8% gains. The changes for the week will also come. That is Friday to Friday. Remember, we started the week with that Maharashtra big verdict over the weekend, and Monday was that big day. And then, of course, it got a little muddled. So 5 days, Nifty up 0.9%, Nifty Bank up 1.8%, mid-cap index 2.5%, but the winner was the small-cap index with 5% coming through in this week. I'll come back to just today. So the big gains, Bharti, there was a brokerage upgrade, almost 5% there. Cipla and Sun Pharma and healthcare as sectors and pockets also participated. Mahindra and Adani Ports. I'll get to more Adani names in the broader space. Names like Adani Green, Adani Energy Solutions. These were all up once again. So most of these stocks have recovered quite a bit from the lows which were made after that, US SEC, DOJ indictments. Premier Energy was another sort of recovery name today. Piramal Pharma, big one, 8%. Sagility has been a big winner through the course of this week. Tirumalai Chemicals and Hikal were some of the others which participated. Just some pullbacks as well today. Swiggy has had a good run, gave back some. Ola Electric had a big last 2 days, gave back some. Credit Access, that Goldman Sachs downgrade, almost back to the recent lows from where it had recovered 10%. HFCL, Poonawalla FinCorp, KPIT, Colgate, CG Power, and Shakti Pumps were some of the others. US investors are already largely out of the picture this week, and I think we'll only get better and sort of more clearer global cues as well, which I think remain important to track as we get into December in a real way. Back to you.
Right, big updates coming in. The Q2 GDP numbers are out. India's GDP grew by 5.4% in the second quarter of the fiscal, the slowest in over 20 months. Let's go across to Lata Venkatesh. Lata.
No, this is a terrible number. We were all expecting that it would be 6.5%, which is what the CNBC TV18 poll threw up. Let me tell you why it is shocking. The first forecast of the Reserve Bank for this quarter was 7%. They brought it down to 6%. And they held that 7% as recently as the last monetary policy. As of October 6th, they were expecting a 7% growth. They brought it down to 6.8 when they released the October bulletin. But 6.8, and look, where are we at 5.4? This is a seriously shocking number. I'm trying to go through the details. I think it's manufacturing that has really been jacked. It's grown by just 2.2%. And in my poll, I had got a near 5% growth in manufacturing. 4.7% to be precise. And last quarter, Q1, manufacturing had grown by 7%. In the year ago quarter, manufacturing had grown by 14%. But this 2.2 comes as a very big shock. Among other things, you can say that perhaps trade, hotels, transport and communication, which is a very big services sector, ST buses, Udupi hotels, everything comes under this. Trade, hotels, transport and communication, that's grown by just 6%. The expectation was that it would do closer to 7 to 8%. So that again has pulled down. Financial sector also, finance, real estate, insurance, the whole financial piece, that was expected to grow by close to 8% or even more. That's grown by just 6.7%. All these were supposed to make up for the loss in mining, for the loss in agriculture. Agriculture has grown by 3%, by the way. Not a very bad performance at all. My poll had given me a number of 3.6 or 3.65 to be precise. But at 3%, it's not as big a disappointment as manufacturing and services have been. Let me just come to GDP from the expenditure side. Whether you're consuming, whether you're investing, whether you're exporting. If you look at that data, there has been an all-round slowness. The private final consumption expenditure, the engine of growth for India, accounting for about 58% of the economy, that's grown by 5.9%. That defines the GDP growth of 5.4 because consumption has grown by only 5.9%. Consumption has been slow for a better part of the last 3 or 4 years, ever since COVID ended, it grew in the first quarter to 7.4. So we all thought that consumption has returned. Remember, in all the FMCG stories, we were talking about the revival of rural consumption. But well, overall consumption is only 5.9. What was working for India was actually investment, what you call gross fixed capital formation. That was growing by between 7 and 11% over the past many quarters. That slumped to 5.4. And I think the blame squarely falls on the government on this, because government capex, which had slowed in the first quarter, even when it slowed because of elections, it was still 7.5% growth. But second quarter, you had no excuse of elections. In spite of it, the growth has only been 5.4. So this is an all-round slowness. It's a shocking number, will deserve much more analysis, and certainly a recast of the full year growth. The full year growth for RBI stood at 7.2. The government was always more modest, expecting it to come between 6.5 and 7. Now 6.5 looks ambitious. That's my first impression. Over to you, Archana.
All right, GDP shocker there. Big updates coming in as far as Q2 GDP is concerned. Moving on, India's industrial output data could soon be released on the first working day of every month. Sources tell CNBC TV 18 that the government is deliberating reducing the time lag between IIP prints to 30 days from 42 days currently. Remember, the estimates are usually released on the 12th of every month. The data that is scheduled for release on December 12th will be for the month of October. The Indian rupee traded flat near its all-time low, lagging behind its Asian peers. This as significant foreign fund outflows and month-end dollar demand from importers weighed on the currency. However, intervention by the Reserve Bank limited losses. Forex traders said the rupee remains in a weakening mode due to dollar demand from importers and foreign banks. All right, it's time for a short break. News and updates continue on the other side. Welcome back. You're watching Business 360. Israel and Hezbollah have exchanged blame over violating the ceasefire in Lebanon, even as the uneasy truce entered day 3. The Israeli military claimed that its warplanes fired over southern Lebanon after it detected Hezbollah activity at a rocket storage facility in the region. Since then, there have been no reports of violations of the ceasefire. Israeli forces continue to stop displaced Lebanese people from entering villages that were once attacked. They also urged citizens to stay away from the border region. Civilians were seen returning to their homes on the third day of the ceasefire. Meanwhile, the situation in the Gaza Strip remains volatile. At least 42 civilians were killed following a series of Israeli attacks on a central Gaza refugee camp. Other parts of Gaza, including Khan Yunis, also witnessed a spate of attacks in the last 24 hours. And moving on from one war-torn region to another, Russian President Vladimir Putin has threatened to escalate its offensive in Ukraine by using intermediate range weapons. This comes a day after a barrage of Russian missiles hit Ukraine's power infrastructure, triggering a power outage across key cities. President Putin confirmed that Russia has also begun mass production of nuclear weapons to strike Ukraine. Russia's response comes after Ukraine used American and British-made missiles to attack the Russian territory. Zee Enterprises shares rise a day after shareholders rejected proposal to reappoint Puneet Goenka as a board director. This comes days after Goenka stepped down from his post as managing director. Vamakshi Dhoria is here with more. Vamakshi.
Well, the shareholders of Zee Entertainment have gone ahead and rejected a proposal for the reappointment of Mr. Puneet Goenka as a director of the company in its AGM that was held on November 28th. Now, the proposal was defeated by a 50.4% vote. That means that nearly 50.4% people or shareholders rather voted against his reappointment as a director in the company. In fact, this comes after proxy advisory firms Indian Govt and IIAS both recommended shareholders to vote against his reappointment. But largely, the picture still remains the same, and that is because Mr. Puneet Goenka has already stepped down from his position as the managing director of the company earlier on November 18th, citing that he wanted to concentrate on his operational responsibilities as the CEO of the company. So that still remains the same because he will still continue to be the CEO of the company. So that is the news flow surrounding Zee Entertainment.
Right, thank you, Vamakshi. CNBC TV 18 Newsbreak confirmed Aster DM has announced a merger with Blackstone-backed Care Hospitals. The Dubai-based hospital chain will acquire nearly 2 crore shares in Care Hospitals at 446 rupees per share. Remember, CNBC TV 18 had reported that Blackstone will hold 34%, TPG will hold 11%, and the Mupin family will hold 23% stake in the new entity. Food delivery giant Zomato has successfully raised 8,500 crore rupees through a qualified institutional placement. The QIP closed yesterday following strong interest from qualified institutional buyers. The company issued 34 crore equity shares at 253 rupees a share. The issue price reflected a 5% discount to the floor price. This is Zomato's first major fundraising effort since its IPO in 2021. Here's a CNBC TV 18 exclusive. The Centre's Serious Fraud Investigation Office has begun its probe against Hero Electric and Okinawa. Sources have told CNBC TV 18 that the government is probing the 2 electric vehicle companies for alleged violations of the FAME2 scheme norms. The government has also approached the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, urging for a detailed probe. The Supreme Court has agreed to hear a PIL seeking an investigation into allegations of illegalities and fund siphoning by the former promoters of Indiabulls Housing Finance. The court issued notices to the company and other respondents on the plea filed by Citizens Whistleblower Forum. The forum has sought a court-monitored special investigation team to probe into the alleged financial misconduct. And staying with all the action from the Supreme Court, setback for Byju's, the apex court has directed a stay on a resolution to sidetrack minority shareholders to facilitate stake sale in Aakash Educational Services. This move comes days after the National Company Law Tribunal blocked Aakash from amending its articles of association to remove the veto rights of these shareholders. The NCLT's interim order also stops any changes to Aakash's governance structure until its final decision. The Supreme Court has ordered the Uttar Pradesh Police and District Administration to be neutral and maintain peace and harmony amid violence in Sambhal. It also directed Shahi Jama Masjid's Management Committee in Sambhal to approach the Allahabad High Court to challenge a trial court's order. The trial court had ordered a survey of the mosque after Hindu petitioners claimed that a temple previously existed at the site. The Supreme Court stayed all proceedings before the trial court until the High Court hears the matter. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Business 360. More news and updates continue right here on CNBC TV 18.